So Invincible is back after a long, super long hiatus. It really just gave us a big, crazy shitstorm for back lack of a better term of words. We're gonna really talk about this. What are our thoughts about this episode? Because this was just there's so much already.
Um, it's good. I mean, it picked up right where it left off, as expected, right? It was good. I mean, look at the general um I guess perception of it already is like it has almost a perfect on Rotten Tomatoes and everyone is loving it. I guess the question is like who is everyone? Like are people still really with it at this point since we had such a long
Yeah.
break? And the people, I think for the people who were sticking with it, it was good. It was a treat. But we could talk about like I guess the broader implications after we talk about the actual episode.
Sure. Yeah, I think the episode itself, for the most part, was pretty good. I appreciated all of the surprises that we got. It definitely picked up right where it left off in episode 4. So yeah, I think it did its job. Yeah. And then there's some
Yeah.
surprises. Like I don't know if we want to get into like all of the details, but
Yeah,
um
we'll definitely get
yeah,
into details for
I
sure, for
think
sure.
I'm not
But
gonna lie. I feel like I didn't necessarily like sit up in my chair until Kate died.
mm,
The Yeah, and the other girl, I forgot her name. But the shrinking girl and the clone girl until like
And
they
duplicate, yeah.
yeah, I until they died, I'm like, wait. Like, because I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
I was kind of zoning out once like
really?
that battle started. Yeah, just because like I was just expecting it to be like a run of the mill. Oh, they're just gonna roll in and take care of this problem, and then they started dying. I was like,
Yep.
wait,
Yep,
okay,
exactly.
all right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Good old subverting our expectations, man.
Yeah.
This is definitely something it kind of reminds us why we got into Invincible because I'll be honest, because this season so far in terms of gore, it hasn't been much. And I was curious if partially why they did that was because the gore was so much at last season they kind of toned it down. But this episode, they were like, all right, you guys were wrong. There's so much like blood, guts, things coming out, like
Yeah.
the moments of disturbing. I'm just like, whoa, I did not expect it. And I guess that kind of brings the shock factor in it because we weren't really expecting how much twists and turns that came into this episode. But for
And
me, what I really loved
yeah,
about this,
uh-huh.
looking back from episode 4, is just
But
the
like
dilemmas.
real
Sorry.
quick before you change topics on the gore thing,
Mhm,
I was definitely like, because in that fight scene with
mhm,
Kate and shrinking girl and Rex and all of those, like it was definitely much more like violent than we had seen in the previous episodes. And so I was like, this is kind of I low-key rolled my eyes. I'm like, okay, we're getting a lot of just like the more gratuitous like gore and guts and blood and all of that. And then like they tied it together with the consequences of like they actually lost this battle. And so I think
mhm.
it actually enhanced that moment for me because
Hmm.
yeah, at first I was just like, oh, we're just gonna get more blood and guts because that's the eye candy basically. But no,
Yeah.
it was actually there for a
I,
reason. But yeah.
I don't know what it was that clued me in, but like as soon as that fight started, I was like, this fight, because you said like, oh, this is a lot of violence. This is kind of like out of the ordinary. It might have been that. It could have been like the length of the fight too, but I had started to suspect that like at least duplicate was gonna die. And I was like,
Mm.
oh my gosh, this is like crazy. I was like just kind of waiting for it to happen because I was like, what is this leading to? Like, where is this going? And then she died. And then the shrinking girl also died. And I was like, whoa, what the heck? Like, even that I was still, even though I was kind of like seeing where it was going, I was still also shocked. Because I was
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh, like Rex is on his own, and
Exactly.
no one's there to support him. Like and that's cool. Like even though it's subverting our expectations, it's something that we should come to expect from Invincible because I feel like the team that handles this series is always kind of like raising the bar, right, and raising the stakes for the show, which is good, right?
Mhm.
Like crime. they say like crime never sleeps, but like, with other superhero shows, people try to, in their storytelling, like have the appropriate like storytelling beats, like have one breath after this thing and then go into this thing and like have a sequential like story. Right now it seems like all this stuff is like happening at once, and like, really thinking about, oh, like if I was a superhero, like, yeah, I feel like it's kind of like a never ending battle, and it can be probably like really hopeless sometimes. So I don't know, it's just cool to see something like gritty without it being like so dark, just more like real. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I totally agree with it. And what I really love about that is like, it always felt like, for me, even watching the episode, I felt like that was like the weakest story beat, because I was all like, we already, like, the biggest thing they gave us in episode 4 was these Viltrumites are going to come and attack the Earth if Mark doesn't, try to conquer the Earth. So I was like, okay, are we going to finally yeah, what I was about to say, so are we going to finally get there? But what they do with this episode is like, with the weaker stuff, with the side heroes, we're actually getting more of like a more payoff of like what's going on with them. And it's just, to me, it's very interesting that they kind of push us here, and almost like what it felt like filler in the last part is now the play off more, which is very, very interesting. And I really do appreciate it from an audience standpoint of seeing this like payoff and seeing the
and to create such urgency on a dime, to like create these new, more urgent like problems at the forefront too. And at the same time, I mean, you have like, again, like the problematic Viltrumite stuff, but also like, oh, like the one Viltrumite who is rebelling, or is he?
Exactly.
We don't know, but I don't know.
Exactly.
And it's just it's cool that there's like a lot to think about and a lot going on at once without really them like holding the audience's hand. There's just like, this is how it is, and we're just showing it to you.
Yeah. And what I was gonna bring up was just, I just love the dilemmas. Like, for starter, with Mark and his brother, like that's such an interesting dilemma, where it's like, we know he can't just leave his brother out there, so he has to bring his brother. But then the question is, okay, what is he supposed to do with his brother, right? We know that if he just leaves him, again, his brother's not a normal human, so they can't just leave him with his mom. But at the same time, if he's with, Siebel, it's going to be a problem. Cecil, yeah, it's going to be even more problematic. So it's like, just that alone is very interesting to me, where it's like, okay, what do we do with his brother? So that's an interesting aspect, as well as just the natural impact of him being gone for 2 months. Because it's like, yeah, he was gone for 2 months, but again, he was gone for 2 months. It's like, it just feels so organic.
Like, human time still works for Mark, whether he's half Viltrumite or a superhero or not. So time works the same for everyone. So there's going to be, implications and consequences. And like, I like the fact that you brought up, Mark having a brother. Like, it's like, it's hard. And this is why I love like Mark as a protagonist. With so much going on, it's so easy to be like, oh, this is something I can't really think about or care about. But like, he actually like faces every problem head on with like, with the same amount of care, really. And, it's never really like, I mean, it's always a question of morals with like these superhero shows, right? You have like Cecil, who's like, is trying to get the job done. You have the good guys, the bad guys, but Mark is always like, doing his best to be like good, like overwhelmingly good. And I don't know, it's just nice to see. It's a little refreshing.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And then just, it's just a very interesting thing. And then we're seeing how, even with Cecil and his other worker dude, and how he's responding to feeling like he is, like, if he's real or is he not real. Like, it's just, we're seeing that impact of like, why, like, we understand why all the characters don't trust each other, but they need each other, which is such a perfect dynamic that I love about in TV shows, where it feels very reasonable for distrust, but at the same time they have to make those sacrifices because it's the best of the good. So I love that in good storytelling, and you can understand everyone's point of view really clearly. Because
of circumstance, you might have to rely on each other in times of great, turmoil. I mean, like, look at what do they call him now? Shapesmith or whatever he is.
Yeah.
Of course they don't trust him, and everyone knew he was like a Martian, but like, he is really their only source of information. And like you said, that he's like the perfect example. Like, they don't trust him, and he's not even necessarily like do we even know if he's like morally good or still morally gray? But they have to keep him alive and get more information from him because there's just like no really better avenues at this point in time.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I was thinking about those Martians and that whole, I don't even know the name, but those little creatures that are like taking the bodies.
The little Staros.
Yeah, that's what I was
Whatever.
thinking of. Like Starros,
Starro.
basically. I was like, I wonder did they get that from DC, where it's like based off the whole Starro thing.
Probably.
Yeah, like it sounded completely DC. I mean, hey, again, everything's copy off of DC, so I guess that's a very interesting aspect.
DC's
But-
blueprint, y'all.
But I am curious, like the way they left things, like, do you feel like, because with Mark's group, with and now I'm forgetting her name,
Eve.
Yeah, with Eve and him trying to protect the shields, and then with the other group where now the shapeshifted girl is gone.
It's just Rex, yeah.
Just Rex.
Duplicate is gone.
Do you feel like them escaping, do you feel like it's going to feel earned, or is there going to be a Deus Ex Machina? Because the way they left it was like very like, I don't know how it's going to happen, which I love. Like, I don't feel like, oh, they just need to pull out this magic trick out there and then they will be solved. It's like, no, they really look like this could not end well.
That's
So I'm
a
just
good
curious.
observation. Either a Deus Ex Machina or a all-out tragedy.
All tragedy
Right
earned.
now it seems like I
Earned,
said,
earned.
it looks kind of hopeless, but that's good
Yeah,
storytelling.
exactly.
I feel like if it was gonna be an all-out tragedy, they would have just done it. Like, I don't think they would have ended the episode where they
Yeah,
did.
especially with Duplicate and the shrinking girl already dying.
Yeah,
It would just be more trauma
weird.
porn.
Yeah, it would be weird to open up the next episode and then like Rex gets shot in the head immediately.
Exactly.
So you'd be like,
Like,
damn, why did I
do
think
this?
it was gonna be any different? Damn.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, so I feel like something is probably gonna happen. I don't know if it's gonna be Deus Ex
It's
Machina
gonna be
level,
Omni-Man.
or if
I
it's
don't know.
gonna be something that's like properly set up. Hopefully, it'll be something that's properly.
Yeah,
set
it's
up.
properly set up. Yeah,
Oh,
hopefully.
we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
Mark's
see.
brother.
Mark's brother just comes
Yeah,
out of nowhere.
imagine.
Dude,
It is
someone
what
check
it
in
is.
on Mark's mom like more often. Like that's like the biggest question for me every episode. I'm like, how
Apparently,
is
they're
this
always
mom
checking
doing?
in on her because they've got her
Yeah,
whole house.
but they're not. But they're not like physically, to her knowledge, checking in on her because she doesn't know.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, man. So I guess one question we have to ask was it worth the 4 months? Was it 4 months? It felt like 4 months. Point is, was it worth the 4-month gap?
What's it worth? I don't even know if that's the right question. Like for me, like for us who are like
No,
fans of
it wasn't
Invincible,
worth it.
I will say this. I kind of felt like I feel like it was sort of relatable because Mark was gone for 2 months.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels like we were kind of like Mark being
Oh.
gone for like a
It's
while,
just-
and then all this things
it's
was
just
going on.
immersive storytelling, y'all. Well, here's what I was saying. Look, if they're gonna release these episodes so sparsely, right? It's definitely an annoyance. Like, we have the right to complain, but I'm still gonna enjoy the shit out of the episode, right?
Exactly.
When you say is it worth it, it's like, yeah, like even if they were like even had a longer hiatus and like, well, actually Invincible is back, I'm sure like the people that like Invincible are gonna watch it, right? And then that's why my saying like, oh, is it worth it? Like, who is that question for? Like, I feel like that's more for like the showrunners or for Amazon, whatever, right? Like that, it's like a gamble. I don't really know like what their rationale is for doing the break, but like it's more of a question for them, right? Like what were they thinking, I guess, is like my question instead.
I think it's mainly marketing because most people get Amazon Prime for Invincible, and there's like a lot of shows that were coming out later. So I think the idea is that, by delaying it, people would watch the other shows while they're waiting for Invincible. So I think it
to
really
have
comes
a rollout for different shows to get regular subscribers is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what it comes down. But I did notice some of the animation was slightly better.
Yeah.
Slightly.
Was
in
it?
emphasis. Slightly. I didn't see any still flying. Hey, I didn't see any still flying. The little, keyframe still
I
flying.
mean, to be fair,
that.
all of these episodes have been completed since before season 2, episode 1 dropped.
Yeah,
So-
but
Yeah, so
they
yeah,
can,
so don't
but
even
they can
speak on
make
the
some slight changes. They can make some slight. You could be surprised how much 2 months can add some things. I'm just saying.
less still flying, I guess.
Less still
Yeah.
flying,
Um,
exactly.
Yeah, no, I don't
yeah,
know. Yeah. My experience watching this episode, I'm not gonna lie, I was not for most of the episode, I just was not in. I wasn't into it. I was just like
you were checked out.
I was checked out because I'm like, yo, why we got 4 episodes last year and now we're getting another all of this just for another 4 episodes. Like it's not even it just feels like what are we it feels like what are we doing? Like
Yeah.
the story is it seemed like such an unnecessary long hiatus and it doesn't match like I don't know, maybe it's because of the whole Attack on Titan thing that we went through of them like extending it, but I'm starting
But
to
I thought you
really-
liked the Attack on Titan ending.
in the same way that you liked the
And-
episode I liked Attack on Titan.
Oh
As far as
God,
the story.
please no. Let's
But-
not go there.
We don't have to go there. We don't have to go there. But no, I think just this whole pattern that we're seeing of you get like limited episodes and then you've got to wait multiple years between seasons before you get the next. I don't know, I feel like it's just getting to me where I'm like I'm seriously over the idea of waiting
Yeah.
like years between seasons of like to get the completion of a story. Like I don't know, it seems unnecessary, and like you go back to the way that TV used to be done and compare and
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah,
like,
but
what are we getting in in this modern era versus what did we get back then?
Yeah, but to be fair, we're going back to how TV used to be done. You wouldn't get a complete season. You know, you would get like basically the way Invincible is. You would get something where it's like you get halfway, and then they'll be on a hiatus, and then you get the other half.
But halfway was 12 episodes.
Yeah, but
Like,
Invincible. But keep in mind,
halfway
Invincible is
was
an
like
hour
you
long
get-
for But Invincible's an animation, and it's an hour long, and we know animation takes longer. So if you really think about it, it is in like you could say, even though it's 8 episodes, technically it's 16 episodes.
Animation takes longer in what sense? Because
It
I'm
as in it
fairly
takes.
certain if you go back to those early seasons of SpongeBob.
Okay, we're comparing
Those early
SpongeBob, but
seasons
OC.
of-
Let's be real.
No,
here.
but like if we're
Yeah,
just talking
that's
about
Dude,
unfair, OC.
no,
SpongeBob is
no,
a perfect
no, no,
show.
No, not even
That's
that.
unfair.
We have to remember, Invincible is drawn like an anime. Those things take like at least a year to produce. It takes a year to produce animation.
is
It's a long
Invincible
thing.
drawn like an anime?
It is. It's not the best drawn anime, but it's basically drawn. It's drawn
Like,
very
what
similar.
are we talking about? No, I mean
It's
like
very drawn. The styles is very influenced by like Young Justice, which is influenced by the same people who animate that. Also, were inspired by Legend of Korra. Like, there's a whole animation group here.
here's
My point
thing.
is, for it to be drawn like that, and it's supposed to be an hour long. Keep in mind, we don't get animations that are hour longs. It is equivalent to something that you would consider it is equivalent. It's basically, instead of looking at 8 episodes, you're getting 16 episodes, but condensed into but it's like 2 parts into 16 episodes. So the point is, with that, consider that factor into it. It is equivalent to like back in the day when we had to wait for like when Supernatural's in the hiatus, you know what I'm saying? Like it's equivalent to those moments.
Oh my
So-
gosh.
It's not.
Do you think, okay, I think you both are making a point, right? I think, you know, it's fair for teams, whether it be animated or not, you know, for creative teams to have all the time that they need to put out a quality product. But it also is kind of unfair to like hardcore fans to sporadically release episodes, you know, kind of like when in the past it was like released like not one lump sum, but like there was no long hiatus, you know.
Yeah.
We've already
Like,
waited so
there's-
long for the new season, it's like might
Mhm.
as well get it either like regularly, like on a weekly basis, or, you know, as you know, in the beginning of streaming, have like the whole season come out, whichever, but like not have like a huge break when there's like a giant like thing happening in the plot where we're trying to get answers, you know, because
Right.
it does is, you know, obviously there's a lot of like, oh, like questions, like excitement, like I want to know what's going to happen, but now I have to wait, and like that excitement cools, obviously, right? It's going to hurt like fans, like actual fans that are part of the audience, right? We're not talking about new fans or new subscribers. It's going to like hurt the people that, you know, really care about the show.
There's a practical reality to the fact that if you wait like too long before coming back to a story, you'll lose interest. Like I'm sure that like a huge percentage, maybe not a huge percentage, but like a significant percentage of whatever fandom enjoyed season 1 of Invincible fell off when season 2 came, however many years later. And then similarly, like after only 4 episodes, I'm sure that like whoever was excited for season 2 is probably just not as excited for this season 2 part 2, right? That's coming out. It's just like the fact that you're making the audience wait an exorbitant amount of time between each seasons. There's no expected, like before, like back in the day, you at least knew that, hey, come fall, like the shows that you love are coming back with new episodes. After, you know, the season finale that happens in like spring or early summer, you come to the fall or end of fall, and like these episodes are coming. Like you had a schedule that you could expect these things, and then even like going back to something like Game of Thrones, you could expect that like, okay, a year from now we'll probably get new episodes, so we'll just have to wait a year. But now it's like, oh, we'll just tell you whenever it happens, and you just got to pay attention. And it's like, okay, like I guess if that's the new thing, but like I don't know, we're getting older, like we're growing up, and it's like life. We have like other things that are demanding our attention. It's kind of insane to expect the entire audience to just like be waiting with bated breath for any news about when the next season is coming out, and it's only going to be 4 episodes. Like, come on.
No, it's you're I'm picking up what you're putting down, and it's unfortunate, right? Shuku, you made a good point. A lot of these studios and a lot of these streaming services, right, probably have like their own release calendar that is more connected to like, you know, revenue streams and subscriptions more than anything. So you know, the fact that, you know, we have our personal complaints about, you know, the cadence of how these episodes are being released, it's really more of like a numbers game, right? And like what these studios want to prioritize as far as, you know, marketing and whatnot, right? You have Disney, who's prioritizing, you know, family friendly titles, and then you have Max, who prioritizes really premium high budget shows, you know. And I feel like Amazon might still be kind of gaining their footing, I guess, because really their biggest thing is like The Boys, right? And they've had some lesser successes, and then there's Invincible.
Exactly.
And I feel like the jury's still out on Invincible. Like we had lots of success with the first season, but maybe it's not enough to prove that it's like a priority, you know, by Amazon yet. I don't know.
I'm debating that because, again, Invincible's already announced they're going to have a live action movie. So there's already big enough hype for this show to go in. But not that I disagree. Like, I agree the idea. Like, again, it's a business move. They know that Invincible's a popular show. If they delay it, they'll have more people want to buy more subscriptions to watch the other shows. So I agree that it does lower down people's interest for it. But again, if the problem is, for example, I don't want to wait this long to watch it, then yeah, people are just going to wait until the full season comes out and then watch it. And then people who do want to see it, like who are very excited, they're going to watch it when they do watch it. So I don't know what's going to happen for the future. We'll see if this impact does hurt the show, and maybe they'll learn not to make us wait another like 2 or 4 months for 4 episodes. But as far as what I was given story wise, I am hooked. I am intrigued. I want to see how this season ends, and then when the season ends, we can finally have an overview about how we felt about the season, you know. So
yeah, I mean, statistically, look at who, you know, 2/3 of this audience right? Didn't really care that there was a break and still really enjoyed the audience. Oh, see, you're kind of like the odd man out in this statistical experiment. So if this is if these are the numbers that Amazon is operating on, they feel like, yeah, I mean, like we could do like a deep dive into like the whole business portion, but they're not paying me. This is just back of the napkin math.
Okay. For sure. All right, sounds good. Any other last minute mentions or stuff like that? I'm just trying to run through the episode in my head, but yeah, I mean, you know, it was for the most part, it was a fun episode. I enjoyed it. It was cool. Yeah.
Froze.
It's like, because I saw you wrinkled your eyebrows, and I'm like, it wasn't me.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, okay.
You froze.
I froze. All right.
Yeah, you're the frozen
For
one.
both of us.
Either way.
The Invincible hater froze. That's why.
Amazon is shutting you down. You're the Amazon whistleblower.
The recording is on my screen, so it's only gonna look like you guys froze. So
Whatever.
Oh, great.
Whatever.
All right. I think if that's it, then I guess we're good. You got any thoughts on season 2 episode 5 of Invincible, or if you have any thoughts on the new trend of having to wait 7.5 years between 3 episodes of a show, then you can definitely let us know in the comments.
Yeah, it sucks.
The 5 of Invincible. Definitely let us know in the comments down below, and we'll catch you later. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.